everybody to Mary Giuliani Live. I am so glad you're here tonight. I've got a great show for you. We've got Arvee Robinson, who is the master speaker trainer that's going to empower us as women to step into our power and lead. So it's going to be a really fun show, so make sure you stay tuned for Arvee. If you're new to the show, this whole show is about transformation. It's about really getting the support and the inspiration you need to really create a life that you love, a career that you love, relationships that you love. And so every single week I bring on guests that are all about sharing what they've done to create lives or businesses or relationships they love, and also what kind of obstacles they've had to overcome to get where they are. Because you know, a lot of times it's really easy to look at other people and think, oh my God, I could never do that because I'm not like them. But you may have no idea what kind of struggles they've overcome to get to where they are. And typically they're pretty major. Everybody's got tragedy and struggles and victories. So I love being able to provide guests that can share the whole story. And so Arvee's going to be a really fun guest tonight. If you're on Facebook Live, I wanted to mention that if you would like to come over to marygiuliani.net /watch live, you can ask Arvee questions in real time, because that's where I field all the questions. Also, you can chat with other people in the chat room if you want, too. These are all transformationally oriented people, so it's kind of a fun place to hang out, too. Also, if you're not on my email list, you need to get on my email list so that you can know which speakers are coming up. All you need to do is go to my website, marygiuliani.net /free newsletter, and you'll only get one email a week just sharing the guests that are coming up. And I also provide free links for the video and the audio only version of the previous week's recordings, and also some coaching tips and inspirational stuff like that. So we'd love to have you, you know, be part of the community there. Also, I'm always looking for interesting speakers and topics that are important to you as my listener. So please let me know any types of topics that you're interested in, or if you have a particular person that's written a book or that is involved in some kind of project or program that's really, really aligned with transformation. I'd love to find out who they are and see if they might want to be a guest on the show. So just email me at mary@marygiuliani.net. Also, any questions or coaching ideas or tips that you would need, email me as well, because I'm looking at putting a new segment into the show about just answering a viewer's question kind of thing. All right, let's see, is there anything else? Oh, if you're an iTunes person, you can get automatic downloads of my shows every single week just by searching for Mary Giuliani Live, and it's automatic. We all love automatic. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I have. I think that may be just about it. Well, let me introduce our next speaker. I am actually a student of Arvee's. I took one of her great speaking training classes several years ago, and she's an amazing teacher, trainer, speaker, and inspiration for all of us as women. So she is the master speaker trainer, international speaker and author. She teaches business owners and entrepreneurs how to use public speaking as a marketing strategy so they can attract more clients and unlimited leads and get their message out to the world. She's a high energy motivational speaker. She's given over 3,500 speeches. I don't even know if anyone's given more than that, and has shared the stage with speaking giants like Mark Victor Hansen, Bernie Dorman, Tommy Hopkins, Laura Langemeier, and the late John Conrad Levinson, and many more. And she offers private speech coaching, speaker training, workshops, and public speaking mastermind programs. Wow, that's a lot. And I'm so excited to have her on the show today. So let's bring on Arvee. Arvee, welcome.
Hi.
Good to have you.
Hi, Mary. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Let me get to both of us. All right. Well, yeah, what a treat to have you. You know, it's so funny how we kind of reconnected. We were at the Unstoppable Gala, which is a great organization helping children get educated. And there you were. And so, you know, I'm just so thrilled that you're okay to be here on the show and sharing all of your wisdom with us. And so just curious, how long have you been training speakers now?
14 years. I
my
left
God.
corporate America 14 years ago and set up my own entrepreneurial company where I trained over 5,000 people, and most of them are women.
And so you've trained 5,000 people to be speakers, and the majority are women. Wow.
Yes.
And that's a lot. That's a lot of people that you've really helped get their voice out there. That's amazing. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I'm just curious, what kind of corporate work were you in? It's always kind of
Well,
interesting to me.
I was in systems work. My degree is in information systems, and I graduated, and back in the 80s, I went to work for a company by the name of Deloitte Haskins Sales, which is one of the big 8 CPA firms. And my boss came to me one day and he said, Arvee, I want you to get out there and start speaking and tell people that we offer this service, because it was a CPA firm and it's a brand new service. It's when microcomputers first came on the scene. So this was back in the day when small companies couldn't afford computerized automated accounting systems. So microcomputers first came out. My first system I set up was a dual floppy.
Oh my God.
When hard disk came,
the big ones, the really big ones.
No, actually they were the smaller ones.
3.5, yeah.
But it was a revolutionary time because right after that is when hard disk came out, which was 10 megabytes.
Yes.
But anyway, so it was a real revolutionary time, and so my boss said, get out there and speak, tell people that we offer this service. So I thought, because I took one speech class in college, that I was good to go, that I knew everything there was to know about public speaking. Well, after about 6 months, I hadn't landed one job, not one project, nothing. And I knew that if I didn't get some business soon, I could lose this job.
Right.
But I didn't know what I was doing wrong. You know how sometimes you can't put your finger on it, you know something isn't right, but you just don't know what it is? That's where I was. And then, just like that, something happened. This woman came up to me, she looked me in the eye, and she said, honey, I hate to tell you this. And I'm like thinking, uh-oh, nothing good's coming out of her mouth. So I was brave, and I said, what is it? And she said, honey, do you know that after every sentence you say okay?
Oh.
And the only thing I could think of saying back to her was, okay. But in that moment, I got it, that I was the problem. That just because I could flap my jaw didn't make me a public speaker. So I decided that that wasn't going to happen to me again. And I was going to master this thing called public speaking. So I went to the library, checked out everything I could find. I went to seminars, courses, anything with communication in it, joined organizations like Toastmasters, and hired coaches and mentors to help me. And it wasn't long before, when I learned how to do it right, it wasn't long before I would go out and I'd go blah, 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 poof, clients. And I'd do it again, blah, 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 poof, clients. And I thought to myself, this stuff really works. So then my colleagues started to hear the buzz. I started hiring more people to do all the work, and so they wanted to know what I was doing, so I started teaching them. Then the big boss found out about it. He wanted me to start teaching other consultants and CPAs under continuing education, so they flew me around the country a couple times a year doing that. And so life was great. And I had a 23-year career in corporate America, and I reached the very top. And I thought, you know, this is cool. And then all of a sudden, once again, something happened that changed my life and everybody else's actually, and that was 9/11. You see, when 9/11 hit, it was like a wake-up call for me, for the world. And I realized in that moment that I no longer was blazing trails, that my industry had grown and there was nothing that I could do that my own staff couldn't do better, faster, cheaper than me.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I realized that I was a senior manager, the top I could be in my field. And I realized that I simply was a middle manager and no longer making a difference. Just shuffling paper, managing people. And I knew that there was something bigger and better that I needed to do. And I didn't know what it was because systems work was my career, it was my degree. It was all I knew. And so I did what any smart girl would do. I prayed about it. And it wasn't long before God gave me the answer. And that was public speaking. And not only teaching people how to walk and talk, but teaching business owners how to embrace it. And leaders how to use it as a marketing tool and as a strategy to make money, get business, get their message out to the world, and make things different. So 14 years ago, I left corporate America, and I've been doing this ever since.
Oh my God! Wow, what great! I didn't realize that you were actually invited to be a speaker by your boss, and it wasn't even something that you initiated. Isn't that interesting? How things like the universe delivers us to our calling in some ways? I mean, were you? I'm just curious. Were you ever drawn to being a speaker before your boss asked you to speak, or?
No, I wasn't. But I did in college take a couple of acting classes. So I didn't really have the fear of being in front of people that some people have. But I had the stupidity that I thought I could go out and do it. And I really failed. I mean, there was one point, Mary, where I was talking to about 300 people, and I was talking about software because the software business was really hot, right? It just came on the scene. People were wanting to know what software to use. And I wrote out my speech because back then I didn't know any better. Now I teach my students, never write out your speech or you become a prisoner of your own words. But I didn't know back then. And so I wrote it all out, and then I'm talking, and I had it partly memorized, and then I lost my place, I forgot, and so I'm going through all these papers trying to find my place, never did find it, and I just kind of said, thank you, and ran off stage.
Oh my God.
Yeah, never again. That was before the woman told me. I said, okay.
Yeah, oh my God. So were you like, so you gave notice, quit your job, and just decided to become a earn your living public speaking or training? Both?
Yes, yes. But it kind of didn't happen that way. It happened where my company was moving. This is now I'm working for another CPA firm. And the company bought a building and was moving. And so I had, for about a year, planned on leaving the company. And so I was behind the scenes, putting my logo together, my programs together. I was going to seminars, off hours, right? I was starting to do research. So you know what they say? They say, like in relationships, that oftentimes you leave the relationship emotionally a year or two before you leave physically. Have you ever heard that?
Yes. Oh,
so emotionally, I had really left the firm. So I was going to give notice on October 31st, and the company was going to move in November. So I thought, perfect, I'm going to give notice. And I chickened out. I chickened out because I love my boss. I love the firm. So I just thought to myself, okay, I'll stay for another couple of weeks. I'll move with them, and then I'll give notice, right? Yeah. So I walked in, October 31st was a Friday. I walked in November 1st, and my boss laid me off.
Oh my God!
Yeah, they took away my department. He said, we're going to get rid of your department, but we're keeping your staff. That's how he said it to me. I was like, what? And it was because emotionally I was gone.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing that story. Yeah. So what would you say have been the biggest challenges and obstacles you've had to overcome to be a self-employed speaker, trainer, woman in the world for 14 years?
Oh, that's a great question, because when I got out of corporate America, Mary, I thought I had all the time in the world. And I joined a network marketing company, and I started coaching a little boy from a little boy's home. And I had a storytelling club, and I had a networking club already, and I opened up a women's networking group. And I had all this activities. And so I didn't get any clients though. And one thing smart I did is I hired a coach for a year because I didn't know how to become an entrepreneur. So my coach said to me, you know, he asked me to do stuff and I was all overwhelmed. And he said, well, what are you doing with your time? I'm trying to listing all these things that I'm doing. And he said, Arvee, no wonder you don't have any clients. You don't have time. So we had to get rid of all the extracurricular activities and then just focus, especially your first 3 years. You have to focus on building your business. And so I got rid of those things, and then, I was focused after that. You have to be aware of that shiny object syndrome because it affects all of us. So now I just stay focused, learn to say no to people that, want me to do stuff that doesn't fit into the program. Think of it this way. We're all in our own lane. Okay? Think of our business as a lane that we travel on. Sometimes people will try to get us out of that lane and even go in a different direction. So you have to be careful. You always have to focus on your lane. But here's the beauty. You can travel your lane or your journey in a fast car. You can travel it in a convertible going really fast, or you can travel in a little VW bug putting along. That part is up to you. How fast you want to go or how slow. And if you want to go fast and become a leader, you must hire coaches and mentors that are doing what you want to do.
I completely and totally agree with you 100%. And that's not just because I'm a coach. It's because that's what's worked for me. I mean, it's like, why reinvent the wheel when you can work with people that have already done it and that are doing it, And so absolutely.
And the time, Mary, the time. You don't have time to try to figure everything out yourself. So you get a coach. I don't know whether it's a fitness coach because you want to be fit, or a health coach, or like you, a life coach, or a sales coach, or a marketing coach. Or get the coach for that specific niche and go for it, and you'll get there a lot faster, and you'll be making money, or you'll be, ending your suffering, or whatever the reason may be. But I totally believe in coaches and mentors, and I've had many of them, and I'm into long-term programs. I like, because we can't, as a coach, we can't really do anything in less than 3 months. I don't know about what you found, but that's what I found.
I mean, at minimum 3, but
minimum.
It's a long game,
It is. So 3 months, 6 months, year-long. I like year-long programs because I want to get it all. And sometimes I extend the year-long programs depending on what I'm getting. But it really takes that much time to get the entire knowledge, information, coaching from your coach.
Absolutely. So how do you handle the, I think, sometimes very common issue that comes up, oh, I would love to hire you, but I can't afford you?
Yeah, that does happen. A lot of people aren't, they just don't know how much coaching costs. And my coaching is expensive because I make people money. You'll get it back in, 1 or 2 speaking engagements like that.
Exactly.
But they don't see themselves as a successful speaker yet. So what I do is this. I try to work with them the best I can. Sometimes I'll say, okay, well, I got one other 30-day program, which is minimum 4 hours, and I'll give you an hour for free just to get you started, and then we can always apply that amount to the 3-month or 6-month coaching program. So I'll work with them whatever way I can, because I can't help people unless they coach with me,
Exactly.
They're not going to learn by osmosis. They have to learn by doing it. Speaking is a learned skill, and anybody can learn it. And I teach people systems and formulas because of my systems world. So I'm the only one that I know in the public speaking arena that actually has systems that you can follow to craft that persuasive presentation itself, get proven results every single time, no matter how long your speech is or how short it is.
I love that. I love that. So I know one of the things when we were first talking about this interview is that your title is the Master Speaker Trainer. So how did you become this extraordinary public speaking leader that you are today? Like,
Well, thank you. You know, besides my personal story of how first I got into it, what I did is I did the time. They say that you are a master when you put in 100,000 hours, either by doing it, teaching it, reading it, researching it. And not only have I had 14 years actually in my own business, but I had started coaching and teaching back in corporate America. So I've got over 30 years of experience. And I'll tell you, and this is something I do want to share with your listeners and your women. When I first came out of corporate America can be very intimidating to women, especially in the man's world where I was at. It was all the partners were men primarily, very man-dominated world. You go into companies and it seemed like the owners of the companies were always men, the CFOs, the CEOs were always men. So it was very intimidating in corporate America, even though you kept a stiff upper lip. And then when I got out of corporate America into the real world here, I carried a little bit of that intimidation because I originally started logically thinking, okay, my client base is going to be CPAs and corporate people and attorneys. Well, guess what? Now I'm stepping right into that same feeling of intimidation. And and I'm saying, women, you do not ever need to be intimidated or feel intimidated. Don't choose it. Don't accept it. And so I didn't choose it. I stayed completely away. And then I realized that now once I was in my own and leading my own company, and then the older I got, none of those men could ever intimidate me again, no matter who they are. I don't go around them. See, that's our choice as women. We don't have to get in front of or coach or teach or whatever anybody that we don't want to. Not like corporate America where we have to take on any client. When you've got your own business and you're your own leader, if somebody intimidates you, whether they're a man or a woman, or if they abuse you and use verbal language in any way, you can just go stop, protect yourself, and say bye-bye, adios, and just leave. Because it's not worth a penny.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you. So, you know, since our theme tonight is about empowering women to step up and lead, what is it about, like, why do women leaders need to be speaking and getting their message out there?
Good question. Because leaders are speakers and speakers are leaders, period. The only way you're going to have power and influence over others, and that influence can be good, of course, or bad, but we're talking about good influence, getting somebody empowered, getting women empowered, and so that they can own their own power, step in it, wear it, and be it, is the only way they're going to be able to step up and change something. Whether it's the world, whether it's something that's wrong that they want to make right. Now let's think about this for a minute, all right? I don't know if you remember, but do you remember Candy Lightner? Now Candy Lightner is the founder of MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Now she didn't set out to be that leader. As a matter of fact, what happened is her little baby daughter, 13 years old, was walking to a church festival with a girlfriend, got hit by a drunk driver, and killed instantly. Okay? So her and her friends got together, and of course, they created Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Well, how they started that and to get people to lead, or how they led and got people to follow, is by speaking. She started by speaking to neighborhood groups, PTA meetings, schools and assemblies, and then further and further until she had a movie contract.
Wow.
Now we're talking about a regular housewife who was actually a single mother at the time and a real estate agent. Right? Not a former performer or speaker. She started from the ground up, and what she did with her speaking and her leading is she got the drug alcohol level reduced. She got the age limit increased to 21. That's who did that. She brought awareness of drunk driving to to everyone. Because in those days, the guy that killed the daughter, interestingly enough, he was found by it was a hit and run, he was found by his own wife in his garage, wiping off the blood from the bumper. And his wife turned him in. He got 72 hours in jail for that. So this is what we're talking about. Yeah, that's it. That was way back then. So she brought awareness today to where you can't drink and drive not even a little bit, or you get severely in trouble for it, right?
And that is such a great story about the power of public speaking. I mean, and especially, I mean, I had a woman on, Sean Andrews, that wrote a book about the gender divide, about the women's leadership. There's such a gap. I mean, it's like, it's horrible, but the point is that only, like, out of all the countries in the world, only like 10% are led by women, and and the whole, just all the corporate, like the large corporations and that sort of thing. And so that's why I wanted to focus on women in leadership today. And so that was such a great story about Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. Wow, I had no idea.
Thank you.
That was
and
how
now
she got started. Yes. Go ahead.
And now today, it is noted, if you look her up and read, it is noted that she is responsible for at least saving 80,000 lives.
Oh my God.
Because of those new laws.
That's so powerful. Well, because she chose to get up and speak and get out of her comfort zone. And speaking of getting out of your comfort zone, why is it that so many women are so scared to get up and speak?
Well, I believe it's because they don't know what to say, how to say it, where to say it. It's not something that is taught. It's not something that is encouraged. Ever since we were a little girl, we were supposed to be seen and not heard, right?
Yes.
So we weren't encouraged. Now, maybe the new generations, maybe it's different. But in my generation, the baby boomer generation, no, you could even talk at the dinner table, and you couldn't sing or do anything creative at the dinner table in my household. It wasn't that it was mean, it's just that that was the culture and the way of life. So oftentimes women are silent, they are quiet, sometimes they're overshadowed by a dominating male figure that pushes them down even more. Now let me give you an example. I too, when I was younger, and even in corporate America, I was in an abusive marriage. All right, now it didn't start out abusive. No one goes, oh, it's abusive, I'm going to jump into it. It was one of those things that over time, over time it became abusive. My husband became an alcoholic, and the same old story, right? And then you're in knee deep. I was in 20 years knee deep. Thank God I got out of it 16, 17 years ago. But the point being is that being in that situation, it was not empowering for me. And a lot of women find themselves in a similar situation, and domestic violence is one that we don't typically talk about, we don't typically want to admit, we don't even want to get help from on a verbal basis. We keep quiet, we keep it in. And as long as women do that, they're going to stay small.
Right.
And never meet their potential and never meet their true self. So I would encourage everyone, don't keep silent. Whatever's going on in your life, whether it's abuse or whether it's a wrong that needs right or whether it's a feeling that just doesn't feel good, you've got to find people to talk to. Get coaches like Mary, life coaches that are experienced with dealing with that kind of situation, and get out of it. Whatever situation is uncomfortable, get out of it, because it wouldn't be until then that you could do the work that you were set on the planet to do. And I remember my ex-husband, after we were separated and divorced, I told him what I was going to do, right? And he's like, again, he said to me, I think we're on the phone, he said to me, now why would you leave, again, typical, why would you leave a good corporate job to do something like that, right? And I knew in that minute, that if I hadn't left him and that situation, I would have never been doing what I'm doing today or helping the 5,000 people that I've helped. So you have to think about that, your future.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it.
No, well,
I'm
I was
hello.
just gonna, I'm so glad you brought that up because the company that we keep, whether it's our spouse or our friends or even family members, that are supportive or are not supportive are key in terms of where we go in our lives. And so what I found when I was in situations or relationships where I knew it was in my best interest to get out of them, what do you do when you're in the middle of it and maybe you're dependent on it on some level? For me, what I found is the first thing you need to do is get a support system of people that are for you and affirmative of you while you're
Yes.
still in an uncomfortable or unworkable situation, so that you will have the support you need to make the move. Because, you know, if you don't get the support you need, it's just too hard, and you'll get pulled back down by the negative energy. So that's a really key piece.
Yeah. You'll get buried. Right.
And as far as like just, you know, like I wanted to ask you about choosing a primary message, you know, as a speaker. Like, you'll notice that, let me, who am I thinking of here? It sounds like you got a train at your house.
Oh, I beg your pardon. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's
It's
okay.
so
That's
hot.
okay.
It's so
Yeah, no,
hot
that's
here
okay.
that I have the door open. I put the
Yeah.
dogs away and the phone unhooked, but I just left the door open because I'm in the
okay.
Inland
That's okay.
Empire. I don't know if anybody
Oh my
else
God, it
knows.
must be really
and,
hot today.
And it's
Yeah.
about 90 degrees today.
Okay. No worries, no worries. So, what kind of, like, how do you choose your brand as a speaker or your theme? Like, you know, like some speakers focus on empowering people around their personal lives. Some people focus on empowering people around their business life. Or then there's people like you helping people with their speaking skills. I guess my question is if you have a lot of different areas that you could speak on, do you recommend staying kind of in a certain niche, or how do you, you know, recommend that sort of thing?
Yes. Well, everybody has a lot to speak on, but first we want to choose a topic that goes along with your business, okay? Because if you're not making money, then, you know, game over anyway. So let's say that you are, let's say that, like in my case, I'll use myself as an example. As a public speaking trainer, I teach people how to generate leads, get business, attract high-paying clients, become the leader in their industry. And so I speak about that, generating leads, and I also speak about networking. I also speak about leadership. So there's a lot of topics that I speak about, but there's one signature talk that will get me business. And that's what everybody should focus on. Now know this, I just need to say my mantra. Each and every person has a message to share that only they can share to people that can only hear it from them. And that message will save somebody's life or save somebody's business. That's how important it is to get it out there. Now, I used to think that if you couldn't deliver that message, that it could be taken away from you and given to somebody else. And then I realized, I was in church one day and the priest said this. He said, that God has given you gifts, and if you don't use those gifts, they will be unused for all eternity. And in that moment, I thought, that's it. That's the same as a message. If you don't deliver that message, it will be undelivered, which means the people that needed to hear it to end their suffering will go on suffering. So first of all, it's important that you do have a message. You need to find out what that message is. It's right there. All you need to do is think about it. And normally you're doing that message as a business anyway, like life coaching. So now you want to speak about an aspect of life coaching, the benefit of life coaching. That becomes your signature talk that you give over and over and over to set yourself up for a business. Now, if someone comes along and says, you know, I don't really want that particular talk, can you talk more on leadership or more on transformation? Sure, it's just another bag, you know, another tool in your tool belt, right?
Right.
But always try to perfect the lead with one, and that way you're always ready for that talk. So I'm going to another group. I'm speaking on Friday to a group that I've been to 3 or 4 times already, and I usually do my lead talk. And now I decided, you know what, they've already heard it several times, let's do a new talk. So now I'm going to talk about how stories will sell. But any time you can switch and develop another talk, but it would be beneficial for you to first focus on one.
And do you recommend having a version like a 10-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute version kind of thing?
Yes, yes, yes. Because, yeah, nowadays...
Or even 30-second.
Yes. Nowadays, our speaking time is getting shorter and shorter, and because people are getting, well, they don't like boring speakers, and there's a lot of them out there, untrained, boring speakers, and just because of all the social media and the sound bites that we are learning about, so our time is getting shorter, and you know, 20 minutes used to, you know, 20-minute signature talk used to be an hour or 45 minutes, and now we're lucky if we have 20 minutes. But here's what I always recommend to my students. Always ask for more time. If they say 20, ask for 30. It doesn't hurt.
Okay.
The more time you're in front of your audience, the more they fall in love with you. The more they fall in love with you, the more they want to buy from you, or at least know more about the products and services you offer.
Or if they're speaking about a specific cause or something, or whatever the cause is. Yeah. So
right.
How do you? Yeah. Like so when you're obviously everybody wants to build their platform, whether it's a for-profit or a non-profit or whatever. Do you? I would imagine you negotiate that with the event planner before that you can somehow get leads or the contact information from the people, or how do you do that?
Yeah, sometimes it depends. You know, if it's a seminar that we've all been to and you're a guest speaker on somebody else's stage, most of the time it is not appropriate to get the list, to ask for the list, or get business cards. To come and speak on my stage, it's forbidden. However, when you go to free local talks, you're going to your Chamber of Commerce or to meetup groups or to women leadership seminars, then oftentimes it's perfectly fine. So what you do is you ask the president or the group leader, whoever it might be, if you can do a giveaway, give a product away, and collect cards and do a drawing.
Oh, that's great. That's a great idea. Okay, awesome. And as far as like choosing a niche, I remember when I went to your seminar, you said there's riches in the niches.
Right.
Any advice on choosing a niche?
Yes. The way to choose a niche is who do you want to work with? Like, who's your like-minded people? Some people make the mistake of trying to choose a profitable niche, right? That they can't, what I call, play in. It's got to be something you can play in. So, for instance, if you are a baby boomer, it's probably not a good idea to target millennials. You speak different languages, you have different values and different goals. But if you're a baby boomer, you probably best target baby boomer.
Yep,
okay?
That's what I do.
But think about who do you want to play with? Who do you want to be in the market with? So I had this client, his name's Jason, and Jason, when he first started working with me, one of the first things we do is define target markets so we can create your elevator speech. And so he was a brand new financial planner. And I said, okay, Jason, you know, who's your target market? And he said, well, I want to target the broke and the broken. And guess what he became?
What?
Broke and broken.
Yeah.
So I said, I said, Jason, why don't you target the affluent, and when you make a lot of money, then you can help free the broken. So that's what he ended up doing, and he's a very successful financial planner today. So be careful who you choose is my advice. Choose a target that you want to work in. Choose a target that fits you like-minded. And also, one other story, my first mentor, the reason why when I got out of corporate America and I worked with CPAs and attorneys is that was at the advice of my mentor. It made sense. But when I started working with them and got that intimidation, I said, you know what? I don't want to work with them. And I started working with entrepreneurs and small business owners and loving it. I'm really helping them to make 6 and 7 figures.
Wow, that's awesome. So you talked about a system that you've developed. Could you share a little bit more about the system?
Yes, I'd love to. What I teach people is a 10-step system. It's what I call the speech standard, kind of like this. So when you're creating a speech, most business speakers that are not trained, they come out and they don't have, am I in that thing? They don't have a close, right? So what happens is their sandwich falls apart. And they end with something like either a Q&A or they end with a thank you, and they don't get any business. But same is true if you don't have the top of the sandwich, right? Then if you don't have that rapport building piece, then people aren't going to fall in love with you, trust you, and then they won't buy from you either. So I teach people the sandwich method, which the top piece of bread is your rapport. There's 5 steps to that. The meat, your knowledge is in the middle, and stories and everything you can put in the middle. And the ending, there's a 5-step close. And I teach people 6 different closes. Because it's not always about closing somebody into a product and getting their credit card. There's 5 other closes besides that. Most people aren't even ready for that buying close yet. I recommend you do 200 speeches before you ever attempt to close with a credit card from the stage.
Okay. And so, like, what would so 200 speeches before you, well, what about just getting, right, but what about just getting leads for your mailing list and that sort of thing?
Oh, absolutely. That's what you do in those first 200 speeches.
Okay.
And that's just a gauge. You know, some people might be ready in 100 or 50. But gather the business cards, build your database so that you can market to people when you have your own events, and or get strategy sessions so that you could close them over the phone.
So you call your sort of intro sessions strategy sessions?
Yes. And what I do is I've got a form that I use, all right? And it's a postcard. It's really thick. And on one side, this side, it has questions, and it says, do you want a strategy session? Click in the box. Do you want me to come and speak at your next event? And then it has, do you want to come to a free event? So you can put whatever you want on there. Then I tell them to fold it, rip it in half, right? Keep this half and give me this half. And then you call them. Yeah, and it works really cool. I did this for a 10-minute talk. And then I just told them, you know, put it in the basket near the door. And as they walked out, they dropped it. So it didn't take any time at all to try to collect them from the stage. So, and this technique, in a 10-minute talk, I made $5,000 in coaching just from implementing this one strategy.
I love that. Thank you. That's a really brilliant strategy. So one of the things that that speakers have is really a responsibility to their audience, so or as a leader. So what are some of the main responsibilities you have as a speaker or a leader for your audience?
The truth. Always say the truth. And you know why? Because as a leader, if you told people that apples were orange, they would believe you. So you have great responsibility in telling absolute truth if you don't know what it is. In other words, it can't just be your opinion. It's got to be truth. And if you need to do research and find out what that truth is before you open your mouth and do so, you've got to be 100% true with yourself, with your own integrity, with whatever you're sharing out there in the world, because people are going to believe you. And we've seen how leaders in our history have lied and have killed people, that kind of thing. So we can't take leadership lightly. We have to know our skills. We have to stay up to date and be real. What I call naked authenticity. We've got to be real with our audience and truthful and honest, because we know that our audience will do whatever we say for them to do as the leader.
Absolutely. So you also talk about a toolkit that you put together for people as a bonus for
yes.
Coming to the call today. Could you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So what I have for you today is my public speaking success toolkit. And in it is templates and systems. So there's templates for a one sheet, which you're going to need if you want to get out there and speak. There are scripts to get speaking engagement. There's a template for a magnificent success-building speaker introduction. When you are a speaker, and just a lot of other things. Templates that I use when I get speaking engagements and I want to write down all the information, so it's a step-by-step follow, so you don't miss something. You're so excited to talk to somebody about a new speaking engagement. And so that's everything in there is about $1,078. So to get it, all you have to do is the PDF, you download it, and you can fill it in. It's a fill-in-the-blank PDF.
Oh, nice.
Just grab it. At Free Public Speaking Report. It's free. Just for being on this call, for listening, go to freepublicspeakingreport.com.
Oh, perfect. Thank you for that. That's awesome. And so, like, if you're a new speaker, I'm just curious, and you wanted to, let's say, had a goal of doing 4 speeches a month that are not Toastmaster speeches, but like at actual, organizations. How difficult or easy would it be to find venues to get speaking engagements booked? For not paid necessarily, or
no, not paid. You know what? It is so easy. It is so easy. Go to meetup.com. There's groups near you. There's women's groups all over. Look for ones like, let's say, Executive Women's International. Anything that has international is international. So no matter what state you're in right now, that state has probably several cities that have chapters. And so that's a great place to speak as a woman. There's the IAAP, which is the International Association of Assistant Professionals. Another women's group that's full, that's international, that's all over. So look for international women's groups, and there'll be one in your city. And once you're in one chapter, ask to speak to the next chapter and the next chapter and the next chapter. And it's really easy to get speaking engagement.
Okay, great. Who would you, I'm just curious, since you're a master speaker, who are your favorites? Who are your, like, heroes as far as speakers go? Like, who influenced you the most?
Well, easy. I love Les Brown.
Oh, I
love Lisa Nichols. I love Lisa Nichols. And the reason why I love both of them is because they are, they're sermon-like in a way, but they're so comfortable in their own skin and their own speaking that, and this is what I encourage everyone to do and be, that they're comfortable bringing God to the stage. They're comfortable bringing their faith to the stage. They're so intuitive. Now, I've seen Lisa Nichols where she, like, all of a sudden told a story, and she said, I wasn't planning on telling that story, but I knew someone in here needed to hear it. And that's how you want to be as a speaker, so comfortable with your speech, so comfortable with your skin and who you are, and so confident that if something pops in your head, you can deliver it even if you didn't plan it, and it won't throw you off. So those are two great speakers that I just adore.
Yeah, Les Brown's like my favorite, I would say for sure. So, I was going to ask you. I don't know. It'll come back to me. Anyway, yeah. So as far as the like your website and that sort of thing for people to get a hold of you, is that arveerobinson.com or?
Yes, it is, and that's spelled A-R-V-E-E, not R-V.
Okay.
Actually, Arvee is my mom and dad's initials, and they made it a full name.
Okay.
And so A-R-V-E-E at arveerobinson.com.
And I understand that you've got a great event coming up in the next few weeks. Could you share a little bit about that?
I do. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Yes, it's called $1 Million Speaker Summit. You can go to $1,000,000summit.com. I've got an early bird on there of $196 to demonstrate the power of my system. But that's it. So it's 3 days of speaker training for only $197.
And plus you can bring a friend, yes.
And bring a friend, and I've got a red carpet, and all that money goes to the food, and that is a red carpet reception on Friday night where we're going to have a mashed potato bar, sweet potato bar, and all the trimmings, and then I've got a networking group, a networking event in the morning on Friday with food. So that little bit of money really is reinvested in you to eat at the breaks and have coffee and have a great time, because we really want you to have $1 million experience.
Cool. So, you know, people talk about speaking. There's a lot of money in speaking, or there can be, you know, $5,000, $10,000 speeches or whatever. Would you mind sharing some of the success stories from your students? Or just like
Absolutely. Well, like in 5 minutes, I went whoop, and made $5,000. One of my students did the same thing, right? My student did the same thing. She spoke and sold a bathroom design in 5 minutes. I've just by putting on my events, my very first event that I put on, which is a 2-day event, I made $100,000 in 2 days. I often put 1-day events on and make $15,000 in 1 day. And it's just, you just have to know how to do it. You can't just flap your jaw, but you can still do it. I don't use smoke and mirrors. I don't use NLP. I don't use, salesy techniques. I'm just me. Here it is. I invite you to participate, and that's exactly what I teach other clients to be. So just sell from a point of honesty and integrity, and the people that need your product and service, they'll stand up, they'll step up. You don't need to hypnotize anybody. Because see, one thing that we don't see when we might go to somebody else's event and we see everybody running to the back of the room, what people don't see is all the return. Because I've done multi-speaker events, and I had a guy on my stage one time that sold $50,000. But in the next 3 days to come, every single one of them, it was a $4,000 product, every single one of them, except for one, canceled. And that's what happens if people hypnotize you. It doesn't stick because you wake up the next day.
Yeah, I hear you. Wow. Well, thank you for that. So the last question I wanted to ask you is, what message are you most passionate about that you want to leave with our audience today?
Well, that is stories, because we haven't talked too much about stories, but the power of stories will help you to influence and help you to sell. They act as invisible selling. So there's 4 stories that you must have in your presentation. One is your professional story, which I shared. Another one is success stories, which is like Andrea, who made $5,000 in 5 minutes. And I've got lots of those type of stories. Also, you want to use emotional stories, emotion can be funny. I use some funny stories about when I stood up in front of the 300 people and went, ran off the stage. So stories like that, and then of course stories with a lesson. And those could be metaphors or stories that you don't say what the lesson is, but people get it at a deep level. So stories are so important. And one of the things I wanted to mention, Mary, that you wanted me to mention, if you forgot or I forgot, and that's my upcoming book. I do have a book that's finished. That's right, and it's in the editing stages, so it's going to be out in a couple of months. We're getting a book cover created. I'm getting my testimonies created right now. So that book is again, it's called Speak Up, Cash In, How to Use Public Speaking as a Marketing Strategy to Attract High-Paying Clients. And that's a book that's been in the making for about 9 years. Now, I've cared for every word. And see, here's the difference. Books, people think that they need a book before they can speak. That's not true. If you have one, great, but that's not true. You want to perfect your message and your stories. My book is full of stories, because a book without stories is just, it feels like a textbook. So get on stage, tell your stories, get practice, hone them, see what stories work, see what stories don't work, throw them out, hone that speech, develop it, then begin to write your book, and you will get it done a lot faster. Had I finished this book several years ago, I wouldn't have had my leadership chapter in it. I've got a leadership chapter in there that talks about Candy, talks about Martin Luther King Jr., talks about a gal in San Diego who's done a tremendous leadership task that none of us would imagine anybody could do. So there's tons of stories like that, and they would have never got in there. I also have a chapter called The Biggest Lie. And when you learn about anything, even public speaking, there's lies and myths and half-truths out there that you need to know about, and so that you don't fall into those traps. Public speaking, like anything else, has developed over the years, and it is going places. You've got to keep up. So even if you learned a speech class several years ago, it is not relevant today. And part of those trends I'm setting, like getting rid of Q&As. There's no need, no room for Q&As in your presentation anymore. We don't say thank you at the end, we say thank you in the beginning. So on and on and on.
Okay.
To build that trust with the clients.
Awesome. Well, I love that. Thank you for sharing about that. I can't wait for your book. I'm very excited about it. And again, for the viewers that are out there, go to arveerobinson.com. And again, Arvee, thank you so much for sharing all your wonderful nuggets of wisdom. It's been fantastic, and I can't wait. I'm planning on being at your event. And that's in Orange County, right? In Irvine, or?
Yes, it is. Newport Beach, June 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Okay. Well, very good. Thanks, Arvee. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. All right. Wow, that was awesome. Thank you, Arvee. One of the things of the many things I love about Arvee is she's just so enthusiastic and obviously clearly loves what she does, and she's so aligned with her energy, and so that was really fun. I'm really glad we had that interview. Okay, I've got a couple of more announcements, and then we're going to wrap up for the evening. Next week, I actually will be providing a talk on my own, so kind of like public speaking, I guess, but just live stream public speaking. Anyway, it's going to be on the 4 secrets of pursuing goals that can actually make you happy. Believe it or not, many of the goals that we're taught to go after in our lives don't make us happy, and there's quite a bit of research and my own life experience that I can definitely share with you, the 4 secrets of goals that are really worth pursuing and where you can create a life that has the kind of meaning and the security and the connection that you desire. So make sure you tune in next week for my talk on that, and of course it's going to be interactive. You can ask me questions during the talk and everything. Also, I like to give a coaching tip every week, and I usually try to make it line up with the speaker. And so since Arvee is all about speaking up and public speaking and speaking your truth in a sense, the tip is going to be about speaking an uncomfortable truth. And what it means is, sharing a concept or a message you believe in, and sometimes it might not be comfortable to share that. And so I'm not talking about public speaking here. I'm talking about like when you're with a group of people and they're talking about a specific topic that may be controversial, or maybe the majority of the people are sharing things that don't hold the same opinion as you, and you might normally not speak up. My challenge to you is to speak up and to share your truth and your opinion, and to step out of your comfort zone, because it's one small step that you can take to start expanding your comfort zone to where you can get comfortable speaking in front of 5 people, and then 10 people, and then 20, and then 30 and 40, and eventually millions. So I want to support you in really stepping outside your comfort zone. I actually took this challenge on myself about 5 years ago, and I made a commitment to my coach that I would speak up at least 3 times during the week where I normally wouldn't. And it was great. It was a great exercise, and it really got me on the path of just expanding my comfort zone. My next announcement is I am a transformational life coach, and I work with a very specific type of client. The type of people I work with are women that are baby boomers, that are at a place in their life where they've probably been working really hard most of their life in some type of a career that they've been successful at, but they're feeling like a spiritual sort of awakening or a calling to make a bigger contribution, and they're feeling like they can't really do that with the work that they're doing right now. And yet, even though they feel like they have a special gift or a message they want to share with the world, they're feeling really frustrated, like they just can't seem to get or make any traction on really getting it out there. Or maybe it's because they have bills that they have to pay, and that the job that they've got is the only way they feel that they can make it happen, or whatever. But the point is that there's a gift or a message that they want to deliver to the world, and they're feeling really like, what, I'm in my 50s, I don't want to die with my music still in me. So if you are that person, I can help you. So just go ahead and go up to marygiuliani.net and to the coaching section, and I'd be glad to do a strategy session with you. Let's see. I think other than that, that's the announcements for the week. I actually always do share one last thing, and what it is to think of one thing that you're willing to make a commitment to do, to be true to yourself tomorrow, and make sure that you write it down or put it on your calendar so you actually do it, and you'll be amazed at what happens. So thanks for being here, and make it a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.